Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Glad you're here. Today we're talking about all sorts of things. We have a sitting city councilman in the building today. Hasn't been here for a while, but he's glad to take your phone calls at 436-ME-TV option 11. I'll give you a little hint, my friends. He just returned from Spain. So yeah, we'll talk about high-speed rail. 436-ME-TV option 11. Connect with Me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Man, how time flies. I can't believe this is Friday already. Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Glad you're here. It's a live program, so you can call in. We're not on tape this morning. It's live, so call in. We got quite a few phone calls yesterday talking about that potential teachers strike. You know, before I get started here, I do have to run a PSA, and I want to mention this throughout the entire program because yesterday I was hosting a program for Mike Briggs, CentralValleyTalk.com. I was over there talking to some people from the California Council of the Blind. And one young lady, Olivia Ostergaard, wrote this book, Looking at the Unseen. She talks about the blind. So this coming weekend at the Bellagio, the Barnes & Noble over there, there's going to be a 3-day event with a book signing that takes place at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You get a copy of this book here. It's signed. She gave it to me yesterday. It's a quick read. You could probably polish this off in about an hour and a half or 2 hours or so. She is blind, and she brought her dog in the studio yesterday, and we talked a little bit about the book fair and what it took. And by the way, this is not her on the cover. She has no idea who it is, but it's an interesting picture, is it not? It's supposed to be of a blind person walking with their dog. So check it out. It's a 3-day event. It starts tonight at Barnes & Noble at the Bellagio. Hey, you're watching us live on Comcast, channel 375. As usual, it's live Comcast Cable TV all across the Central Valley. If you don't have Comcast Cable, I'm not going to worry about it. It's 43.6 and 13.1 over-the-air broadcast with a television antenna. Then later in the day, you can watch the same replay of this broadcast at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. After that, go to our broadcasting page. I think it's venturabroadcasting.com. Check out Connect with Me page, and then you can go to all of our shows that we've done here the past 5.5 years. So a whole host of people from the Central Valley, specifically the city of Fresno, including sitting city council members. The mayor went. Leanne Eager, our guest from the other day, went. And where did they go? They went to Spain to check out their high-speed rail system. I want to roll the animation video. This is what you'll see once it's done. LA to San Francisco. As of now, between Madera and Kern County, California Rail Authority has purchased roughly 2/3 of the land it needs. Delays, rising costs. For example, the Central Valley portion of the project estimated to be about $1.7 billion over budget on a 119-mile segment during construction here. There are 13 different construction sites across Fresno and Madera. Here's Tom Richards and Dan Richard.
I must tell you, I mean, we've not seen construction in that scale in our community that I can think of or point to ever, in terms of, in some instances, complexity, but certainly in sheer size and cost. Admittedly, it's not on the schedule that we'd originally believed that we could have accomplished. That being said, I think that we tried to be pretty forthright in our business plans to indicate what we thought was achievable and where we were going.
Well, the schedule right now for the Valley segment is 2025. But we're looking at schedule, cost, and scope, and all these things as part of the 2018 business plan. Mm-hmm. So we'll be updating our numbers. And, you know, as we like to say, every day that we wake up, there are pressures on cost, schedule, and scope. Our job is to try to manage those. Some things we can control, some things we can't control. So what we can't control, we try to mitigate or offset in some way. People don't realize, and Tom and I certainly realize, how many handcuffs and constraints were put on this project that have been a challenge to deal with. Just the simple fact of building something like this is enormous in its own right. And we had a number of people who happened to oppose the high-speed rail program who said openly that they were bringing litigation with the hopes that they would stretch us out past the time when we could spend this money and hobble or stop the project.
All right, live in our studio right now is the one and only Oliver Baines III. He is a city councilman in District Number 3. He's been here before, hasn't been here in quite some time. But Mr. Baines, it's good to see you this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, John. Thanks for having me.
So before I get into the trip, Spain, you can talk a little bit about high-speed rail here. Why is high-speed rail important to the Central Valley and to California, in your estimation?
No, sure. No, thanks for that. Actually is the right question. Thank you for asking it. So what a lot of people, I think, when we talk about high-speed rail, what we fail to realize is the important aspect of transportation it is. It's really about being able to move people effectively, people in commerce effectively up and down the state. And if you've driven, north to south in California at any recent time, you can the congestion is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we are not done growing as a state. As you know, 2050 estimates put us at around 50 million people now. We're right about 40 million in the state of California. So we're a big growing state, and we already have a significant amount of congestion with our population set to continue increasing. So that leaves a question. It leaves a question of what are you going to do with your transportation corridors? You have a couple of options, right? I mean, you can widen freeways and just create more freeway space. You can create more freeway space, and you can actually create more airplane runway space, because the transportation network includes airplane as air travel as well. Or you can also try to figure out how you increase your passenger rail. And in this case, we're talking about high-speed rail. So the vastly cheaper of all the options we described, and the one that is most favorable to our environment, is the addition of high-speed rail. High-speed rail is about effectively moving people and commerce up and down this great state of ours, and in preparation for the population explosion we're going to have.
Yeah. What do you say to the naysayers? All those people that say, it's cost overrun, it's 7 years behind. Gee, it's costing the taxpayers too much money, and I think they're $1.7 billion over budget just for the Central Valley project. And by the way, the Central Valley, from what I understand, I've read about 20, 30 articles in the last week or so just on high-speed rail alone, because Leanne Eager was in here on Tuesday, and I wanted to get up to speed. But it seems everything that I've read, Oliver, is the fact that the Central Valley project is the backbone of the entire project.
It is the spine of the system. You're absolutely right.
Right. And how do you deal with the naysayers? Because I asked Leanne the same question with all the cost overrun and people that say, nah, listen, it's never going to be built, all that.
Candidly, I don't have a lot of time for that. I mean, the truth of the matter is people can naysay all they want, but the reality is we're building a train. So from my perspective, there's really not a lot of time to waste.
But you've heard it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not the first.
No, but honestly, I mean, what I have heard have been a lot of people that don't have their facts aligned, for the most part. I mean, these are people who have taken really more political positions against high-speed rail, whether it's because they don't believe in climate change and they think that the fact that we're introducing a train in California is part of the climate hoax, or they don't understand, our transportation corridors in any major way. Because if you ask people, they'll say, well, why don't we just widen the freeways? Which is a legitimate question, and I can tell you it's because it costs 10 times more than introducing high-speed rail.
Can't we do both?
Sure, and then you can spend 50 times more. I mean, so
Right.
if you're trying to be a good steward of public dollars,
Right.
there's no better option. Right. So and most people don't have a comeback to that. It's like, well, would you rather spend 10 times more money widening freeways, right? Even if you just take the air quality challenge off the air, out of the conversation for a minute, does it make sense with public dollars to intentionally spend a lot more money when we know we can spend a lot less? I mean, I don't think there's a legitimate answer to that question. So for me, naysayers don't really, unless they can answer the other questions first.
Yeah.
You know, just being in opposition to something really isn't good enough. We actually have to solve problems in our state, and we have a very serious transportation and people movement problem. And high-speed rail is a great way to help alleviate that.
Yeah. I'm going to take this call here before we go to break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Oliver Baines, a city councilman in District Number 3. Go ahead.
Good morning, John, and good morning, Councilman Baines.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Great. So I have a couple questions about the high-speed rail. I've seen a couple of shows this week. John had another guest. But the question that I have that I didn't ask last time is, first of all, as a consumer, I'm a family man. I have 3 kids, and maybe I want to travel to San Francisco or to LA. I mean, what's it going to cost me? What's it going to cost my kids when this thing's all said and done? Is it going to be really feasible, financially? And is it going to really be high speed? I mean, are there not going to be any stops in between, say, Fresno and San Francisco? So, those are pretty much the gist of my 2 questions.
Sure. No, those are very good questions.
Thank you. I'll take my answer over the air. Thanks.
Thank you.
You.
All right.
Now, those are very, very strong, legitimate questions. And prior to visiting the system, I may not have been able to answer these questions as confidently. But we'll take the first question about affordability. So the very good thing about high-speed rail is many places in the world have been doing it for a very long time. In Japan, they've been doing it for 50 years already. Yeah. We just visited Spain. They've been doing it since 1992. They're approaching their 25th year. They're doing 25 years now. So what we do have is we have really good data on pricing models and structure. So in Spain, for instance, to the gentleman's question, will you be able to afford to take your family from Los Angeles to San Francisco? Great question. And the way that
hang on, caller, get to you in a moment. Go ahead.
In the way that pricing model works in Spain, for instance, it depends on when you buy your ticket. So if you plan a trip in advance, for instance, you can save about 40 to 50% the cost of a ticket than if you were to buy it the same day. So what they do in that model is to make it affordable is if you're a planner, yes, most trips on a high-speed train are absolutely affordable.
You can buy like a daily pass, a weekly pass,
absolutely,
a monthly pass,
right,
kind of like they do on the East Coast with the subway system.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
What they found in Spain is, 20 years ago, they realized they hadn't quite nailed the pricing question, right? Well, now they get how to maneuver it. So you get a significant discounts for buying your tickets early, and obviously the price goes up as you get closer to a date, almost like an airline, and the prices usually start about 80% of what an airline ticket would be, and you can reduce it from there. So to answer the caller's first question, yes, models around the world show us, and unless we think California is so different than anywhere else on earth, yes, I believe that we will have a model that will allow families to travel. To a second point about will it be high speed, yes, Prop 1A mandates that it is. So I can tell you that
stops between here and
let's
say I want to go to the Giants game.
So the trains run. You have a variety of models. So they have express trains, right?
Okay.
So you will have a train that may run from San Francisco to LA and only stop in Fresno, right?
Okay.
But yes, you will have other trains that will stop in cities along the way. So
like Merced or whatever.
Absolutely. So what riders will have, they'll have options, right? Because remember, the idea is to also connect the rest of the Central Valley to the state too. So you don't necessarily just want to have trains just passing through us here in the Central Valley. We want to be able to send our folks from Fresno and our surrounding valley towns to other places in the state too.
So as I understand it, caller, I'll get to you in a second here. So as I understand it, if I want to go to a Giants game in San Francisco or a Dodger game in LA, I know you're a Dodger fan, and I don't want to stop in Bakersfield, I don't want to stop in Merced, I'll have an express train going straight through.
That is absolutely. That is how that model works. They have express trains, and then they have trains that have stops. Yep.
Okay, caller, go ahead. You're on the air with Councilman Baines.
Yeah, I used to talk on the internet to people in other countries that have these high-speed rails, and they all told me the same thing, that they wound up being a rich man's train, that the price of the tickets were so expensive the regular or common folks couldn't afford them. So is California building a train system for the rich? And if that's the case, then of course it want to alleviate the population problem for traveling.
Okay, thank you for the comment. Do you want to comment about that?
I think I just answered that question. The previous caller asked about affordability. I don't share that concern. I've seen the system at work, and there are many working class folks that take the system. So I hear that criticism, and sadly the caller probably may not have experienced it for himself, and he may be relying on some other body, some person's opinion.
You're a popular guy. I got another phone call, but I am going to take a break
it's
first.
the topic.
It's the guest. Caller, I'm glad you called. I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. I got to go to a commercial break, and I just want to mention this a couple of more times throughout the show. The California Council of the Blind in Fresno is having a 3-day book fair this coming weekend, starting tonight, Saturday and Sunday. And look for this book written by Olivia Ostergaard. She is blind, and I talked to her yesterday. You can get a signed copy of this book and have fun on Sunday. It's 2 o'clock, the book signing on Sunday. Back with more of your phone calls and the one and only Oliver Baines, the council member in District 3, here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on the program talking about high-speed rail, and we'll get into the specifics of what went on in Spain last week with Oliver Baines here, the council member. Caller, you're on the air. You've been patient. What's your question for the council member?
Okay, hi. I'm wondering, I don't really like the idea of this train. I do want to ride a train before I die, but I'm going to ride a regular train. Are there still going to be regular trains for people to use when this one's available?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air.
Yeah, the answer to the question is yes.
Yes, okay, great. Can you see the sights in one of those fast trains? I mean, they're going to be a blur, right? If you're riding a train to see the countryside?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, obviously, you're right. You're moving at a couple 100 miles an hour, so it's not necessarily going to look exactly the same. You're passing quickly by, but let me talk a little. Let me talk.
Hang on, man. Let him answer the question, and we'll get right back to you. Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
So, I mean, I don't want to. It's not a blur like you think. I mean, it is moving fast, but you can still, when we rode, 3-4 hours at a time, and we got a chance to see the sights of a particular countryside and enjoy the landscape. But to the caller's first question, I mean, no one's being forced to ride a high-speed train. The passenger rail will still include.
You're talking about Amtrak.
Yeah, of course. You're still going to have regular, regional rail, commuter rail. I mean, for instance, in Spain and most countries that have a well-developed passenger rail network. Yeah, they have a multitude of trains. So they have metro trains that move around the city. They have regional trains that move in between, certain regional destinations, and they have high-speed trains. So, yeah, I mean, I hope that some point in the future, California will have a developed rail network like that where it offers a number of options to people.
Go ahead, caller.
Okay. One more question, and then I'll let you go. Okay. There are occasional wrecks in these trains. In a fast train, do you think very many people would survive?
Well, on any train wreck, I think the opportunity for catastrophe, whether it's a train moving, like we do now, 88 miles an hour, or 200 miles an hour, I think it's going to be devastating if a train ever derails.
Yeah, whether that's Amtrak or high-speed rail.
That would be true of any train. Of any train, yeah.
Yeah. So let me just set this up here. Okay, so yourself, Leanne Eager, who's with the Economic Development Department of Fresno County, Lee Brand, the mayor, Paul Capriolio, another council member, Richard Caglia and Paul Quiring all went to Spain. You were there for what, a week?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Besides riding the bullet trains all over, tell me what it's like to ride in a train that's like 200 miles an hour.
Surprisingly smooth.
Does it feel like you're going 200?
No, it does not feel like you're going 200 miles
Do you
an
know that a
hour.
race car at Indianapolis travels at more than 200, right around the same speed?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, and it doesn't feel like it. You know, one thing that we have to appreciate in California that we don't yet appreciate is the significant amount of technology and engineering that goes into this product. The high-speed train is not like regular commuter rail. It's not like anything we've ever seen
How's it
before.
different?
The technology is different. In order to get a train to move at that speed, the entire
Hang on, caller. Get to you in a moment.
the entire technological system for operating a train is different. And so it's very, very different. You know that the moment you get on the train that you're not riding Amtrak, right? And it's very, very different. So we now are, California, America, for that sense. And I want to kind of broaden a little bit. America now is moving into the 21st century per se with rail technology, and high-speed trains are it.
Before I get to the caller here, I'm going to ask you to be patient, caller. I will get to you, I promise. I want to know how high-speed rail is going to help the city of Fresno. I was talking to Leanne Eager just the other day, and she was saying, they could have built this over by I-5 and could have left Fresno completely out of the equation.
Yep.
She said that would have been bad for Fresno, but
Awful,
now
yeah.
we're connected to the rest of the state because of high-speed rail. How is this going to help Fresno? As a council member, how is this going to help our community?
Well, John, I think you just said it. And Leanne makes the case better than anybody, being the president and CEO of the Economic Development Corporation. But it is about connectivity. And I can't underscore that enough. The ability for us to be connected to other commerce centers, the ability to connect for people to come to us from other commerce centers around the state is an absolute benefit to us. We visited cities in Spain, for instance, that were similar size of Fresno.
Yeah.
And just talk to their mayor, to their governments, and we talked to cities the size of Clovis that also had stops. So we got everything in between. We were in the really big cities,
right. Madrid, Barcelona.
Then we were in places like Malaga, that's roughly the same size of Fresno's population-wise, and then places like Ciudad Real, which
So
are.
you saw a lot of the countryside.
Oh, absolutely, and we talked to their mayors, we talked to their officials, we didn't just talk to just the operators of the rail system. We actually talked to people that were our counterparts.
Was there opposition there like there is here?
Oh, immensely. In 1992.
In Spain?
Oh, yeah.
There was opposition
Oh, yeah.
to the train.
Oh, absolutely. So they
how'd they get it done?
Well, the same way we are. It was, they knew. So their population at the time was staunchly against the rail.
Really?
Very serious opposition. Okay. And in many ways, Spain is a large agricultural country like we are a state. So, the arguments with agriculture, no one believed that the train would be built, by the way.
Don't cut through a farm. Don't cut through here. Don't cut through there.
And if you listen to their arguments back in 1992, 25 years ago, they mimic California's almost to a T, even though they were in Spain. No, the train's never going to get built. It's not going to run fast. It's not going to. Why is it important to connect people? You're killing ag. All of the same arguments. It's actually very fascinating.
So is it almost like a carbon copy of what's going on here now?
In many ways it is. So we listened to that, and this is my second time hearing that. But for them to recount, there are a lot of people that were there in the beginning that remember all of the opposition, and all it took was for them to finish the first line. So they started with 471 kilometers, right, of rail, which for us would be similar to our first line. They now have over 3,000 kilometers of rail, and every city in the country wants a stop. And it happened overnight. They say it was absolutely amazing. By 1994, cities were jockeying to be in position to have a stop in their city.
So the opposers in Spain, have they flipped? Have they done a 180?
You probably could not find 10%. I don't even think 10% of the population. I mean, listen, they have 30 million passengers a year. I mean, is it making
money?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, it makes quite a bit of money. Yeah. Now I want to differentiate that
Hang on, caller, be
for a
patient.
moment, because when people ask, do the operations make money? Absolutely. The operations make money. The infrastructure, no, the infrastructure never makes money. It's an investment, right? We as government, we invest in infrastructure to allow commerce opportunity. Well, they get that. That is exactly how high-speed rail works. So we build freeways so people can connect to commerce centers. We build runway space so our planes can land here, right? And high-speed rail is the same way. We build the Amtrak, and we operate Amtrak right now. But high-speed rail is the same way. It's an infrastructure investment by the government, and it allows commerce to take place.
So quickly before I go to the call here, did government pay for part of it and also private industry in Spain?
Yes. So
Was it accommodation?
they now have a very sophisticated, what they call P3 model, public-private partnerships. And it is fascinating how they now finance these systems. The private sector loves to invest in transit all over the world. It really is very. We talk to the major private investors that invest in these rail systems, and the analytics that they provide about why and how they calculate these decisions is absolutely mind blowing.
Wow.
They realize all of the opportunities for income, and they are happy to provide the infrastructure investment to get the commerce payoff on the back end.
All right.
Really something.
This caller's been patient, so go ahead. You're on the air with Councilmember Oliver Baines.
Councilmember Baines, thank you so much for coming in. Can I ask, are you a Democrat or a Republican?
I'm a registered Democrat.
Okay, I just stop you right there because Oliver has not been on in a while. Okay, this guy does call in. His name is Mr. He's calling from Merced.
Okay.
I call him Mr. Merced because he calls in on a lot of these topics that we. I had this call was not a plant. I did not plant this call. He is calling in on his own. So, I might as well just let you two talk because I know he's opposed to this. He called in on Tuesday. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Merced. Mr. Merced, go ahead.
I just asked a simple question because I think that the high-speed rail affects Mr. Baines' district quite heavily, and I believe there's going to be some impact or mitigation money going to that. But the question one of the comments I wanted to make just before you brought me on, you talked about the interest, the P3 partnership in Spain, and the private-public partnership. We put out a request for proposals to 13 folks, and nobody responded. We have no private operator. And at the beginning of your comments on the show, you talked about the need
Can I have
to.
Mr. Merced, can I have you, when you said we put out, and you said 13. I'm sorry. What are you referring to exactly, and who didn't respond to what?
P3.
I'm sorry. What? John hit the phone there. What?
I just want to make sure I understand what you mentioned a moment ago, that we put out 13 proposals. I'm sorry. What was that?
High-speed rail had went out to private vendors to operate the system, and nobody was interested in operating the system. In other words, it's not a viable business model.
Yeah,
talked about how people.
So that's not true. So right now, and maybe you're happy to go visit on the high-speed rail's website because it's all public. But right now, they literally have taken 4 proposals for operators. And they have them. They're evaluating them right now. I'm not exactly sure what the caller means by that, but.
What I mean is they have no operator at this time. Of course, they're taking proposals.
Right, but I just want to be.
Nobody responded.
I just want to be clear to refute that. And they have people that have already responded. They had they had an RFQ. Initially, and then they put
RFQ?
Request for qualification. So they wanted to make sure that that operators would actually qualify. And after they had qualified a number of people that responded, there are about 5 people around the world that really could. There aren't that many countries that operate high-speed rail, but 5 people responded, 5 companies responded, and out of those 5, 4 have moved through to the next round. So I don't know what the caller means by no one wants to operate the system.
Okay.
Well, we can play that game if you'd like. Let me ask you. You mentioned in your opening comments that it was going to take care of the movement of people and commerce, or we needed to address those issues. High-speed rail moves no commerce; it moves only people. And you mentioned that it's very expensive to build freeway lanes and new airports. but we still need those transportation options to be built on too, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And by no means did I suggest that we are going to abandon the transportation network in California, but I think most of us know that are looking at this kind of from a long-range perspective that we needed to be smart about the investments. And
You agree that we only have so much money?
And be kind of fiscal stewards about the public's dollars. So when we talk about what the options that were available to us, it really made no sense from a fiscal standpoint to simply add more freeway and runway space without adding a transportation option that allows you to move people through the state more effectively. And the commerce portion of this, Mr. Merced, and I'm sorry for calling you that. That's what John told me to call you.
Well, no, that's why
okay.
I've labeled him because
the commerce portion of this relates directly to our freeway infrastructure system, where we then will be able to, and also our freight rail system, we then will be able to move truck commerce more effectively up and down our freeway system when we can alleviate some of the cars that are driving. And also the high-speed rail provides many upgrades to our freight rail. So I think that, the caller's misinformed of a couple of things, right off the bat, but also...
you can move commerce too.
Oh, sure. You have to look at this, yeah, you don't just isolate and look at this in a segmented way. You really do have to take kind of a broader approach in how we're viewing transportation. Right.
You're looking at the broader spectrum.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Picture of all transportation across the state.
Sure.
Cars, trains.
And that's how other places look at it. It isn't, either we're going to take cars or we're going to ride.
Are we short-sighted because we don't view it that way?
Some people are, yeah. I think you've got to view it from a much broader perspective to appreciate what's happening. And you go to other places around the world and you see they are moving people and commerce much more effectively than we are.
I'm running short on time, Mr. Merced. Any other? Do you have a question for Councilmember Baines? Because I gotta move along here a little bit.
Well, when you say everybody's united over there in Spain, and you were just there, I find it interesting that one of the most populous and prosperous regions, Catalonia, is kind of wanting to, move out of that because they're tired of subsidizing the rest of the socialism. So I don't think that high-speed rail is just like us. But again, can you answer the question about the money that's going to go to the downtown area around the train station to help those affected? I believe that's in your district, if I'm not mistaken. And I understand that's upwards of millions of dollars. Not to say that you would get a payoff from HSR. But can you tell us some of the benefits you're getting from that? And I appreciate you coming on the show.
No, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Merced.
And I'm happy to respond to that.
Go ahead.
So the city of Fresno, actually, you're
going to get a rail yard, right?
Well, we hope so. That's one of the reasons we were in Spain is if in fact Spain's one of the countries, for Mr. Merced, if he's still listening, Spain's one of the countries that actually applied to be an operator to the High-Speed Rail Authority.
Please hang on, caller. I promise I'll get to you, but I want the council member to finish his statement here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Renfe Operadora that's the Spanish company that has applied to be operate our system. We believe
they're actually building part of the Central Valley project here.
No, Renfe is just an operator.
Okay,
they're
an operator, but there's a Spanish company.
Yeah, Dragados.
They're building the Central Valley portion of it.
Right, they're a private company.
That's a private company out of Spain.
Out of Spain, right?
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. But thanks for the opportunity to clarify. Wanted to make sure I kept my train of thought here for the Mr. Merced. And I forgot what I was saying. I was trying to answer his question.
I'm sorry I interrupted. I apologize. It had to do with the money in your district.
Oh, that's right. So I wanted to talk about, and what I'll do is I'll kind of break that out over the whole city. So places where high-speed rail is going to mitigate, the authority, city of Fresno is getting $500 million in infrastructure upgrades. We are from the high-speed rail authority.
The high-speed rail.
Absolutely.
So partly from the feds.
Well, yeah, some of their money comes from the feds, but some state money. Some state, but the important things are getting rid of at-grade crossings was a major deal, safety deal for the city of Fresno, and we removed, I think, 16 of them. either 13 or 16. The infrastructure upgrades we are getting is tremendous. The connection of, the help for Veterans Boulevard, which has been a long time planned project.
Right.
So I'll tell you that the city of Fresno, I don't understand why any resident in Fresno would be against high-speed rail, simply because of the infrastructure upgrades that we get that will remain regardless if a train is ever built.
And we don't know if we're going to get that rail yard yet, right?
No, we don't. So what we believe is the operator is going to have significant influence over where the heavy maintenance facility goes. So, of course, we have done everything we can in Fresno to prepare the ground for that. And we would love for the operator to show favor on Fresno and decide to select us as the site.
All right. Let's take this call real quick, and then we'll go to break here because we're running a little bit long. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Councilmember Baines.
Oh, boy, this is one I've been wanting to know for a long time. I'm wondering how you're going to operate that. Is that thing run on gas, water, electricity? And if it does operate on electricity, where is all that power coming from?
Oh, that's a great question. I never thought of that. Go ahead.
So it is electric. I mean,
Okay.
That's one of the climate benefits is that it's electric, and there is a significant power infrastructure that's designed for each and every high-speed rail system. So obviously they will pull power from the grid. You will have to put more power on the grid. You will have to upgrade transmission lines in order to do that. But yeah, it will be
You may
electric.
not be an expert in this, but what happens if there's a power outage? Well, how does that train run?
Well,
You may not know that answer to that question. I don't mean to throw you a curveball. I know you may not be an electrician or a power guy, but I mean, has that ever happened in Spain? Do they have power outages and all of a sudden the train stops, or how does that work?
we didn't cover that in particular, so I don't want to venture into territory that I'm not sure about.
Okay.
But I'm sure that there are probably backup systems
There's backup systems like there are if you have
like in a building. I mean, if we lose power.
Yeah, like a hospital has generators, so maybe there's a backup system that we don't know about
Could
yet.
be.
That could be. Okay, caller, I'm going to put you on hold. I promise I will get to you, but I need to go to commercial break because I'm running super long here. We're trying to get some video from Spain with their train. You can talk a little bit about that. 436 Me TV, option 11. Councilmember Baines is here from District 3 talking about high-speed rail. Back in a moment.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenner, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Back here on the program, and Oliver Baines is here. You didn't know it was going to be so lively today. Kind of woke us all up here.
I didn't know we get so many calls, but
you didn't even know.
Happy to field them.
All right. Caller, you're on the air with Oliver Baines. Go ahead.
I hope the train does get built. If it ever does get built, I probably won't be alive. But it's expensive taking these trains. They're expensive in Spain. They're expensive all over Europe. So I don't know what you're going to be charging to even get from Fresno to San Diego. But we need to fix our airports. I mean, my God, our airport in Fresno is horrible. I'm in Sunnyside. We have potholes everywhere. You guys can't even fix our roads to drive on. I just can't believe it. It's just like we have water problems. What's going to happen with all that? And we're going to build this train. Lovely.
Okay. Thank you, caller. Well, you can't get everybody to agree, just like in Spain. So
yeah.
I'll let you pick it up.
Whatever
you want to say.
She didn't answer. She didn't ask a question.
Yeah, she just had a comment.
Yeah, so she had a comment, and she'll probably feel differently later. And I mean, there's really not much to comment. She didn't really ask anything. She talked about prices in Europe. I don't know if she's ever ridden a train in Europe or bought a ticket in Europe, so I don't even know if she's ever looked at one. But
no idea.
No idea. But she's
I don't know. But we do have water problems, and I know Temperance Flat is a big deal. It has nothing to do with the council, by the way.
Nor does it have anything to do with the train.
Nor does it have anything to do with the train, but you'd like Temperance Flat built, wouldn't you? Everybody kind of would. I mean,
yeah, we need more storage.
We need more water, and yes, we do need our roads fixed. There are a lot of potholes here in the city of Fresno, and yeah, we'd like to expand our airport. I mean, we got a lot of traffic in and out of here.
Yeah, but just to be honest, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because, like I said, she didn't ask a question, but people almost make it seem like,
hang on, caller.
People make it seem like there's only one thing we can do at a time in our city or in our country or in our world. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, she mentioned a lot of unrelated things, like water isn't necessarily related to potholes, related to a train, related to the
airport.
The airport. I mean, these are in some senses kind of disjointed comments, but the truth of the matter is we've got to work on it all. And we don't really have the luxury to say, oh, well, today in Fresno, the only thing that we're going to do is we're just going to worry about potholes until every pothole is fixed, or we're going to only worry about the airport till the airport's fixed. I mean, we've got to work on, we have a big, complex, community, and we've got to work on all these things at the same time. So the caller probably wants to think a little bit broader if she can.
All right, caller, quickly on the air, short on time here. The hour is quickly breezing by and getting away from us. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I didn't get a very good answer on that PG&E. My PG&E bill in a single-story house was $500 last month, and I barely ran the AC. I'm just kind of curious, how are we going to fund all that electricity? I mean, how are you going to keep the cost of that down? And then the water, it takes so much water to run electricity, brother. I'm just kind of confused about it all. You're not making anything really clear to we can understand what you're talking about, guy. God help us, man.
All right.
Good luck with it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It was a PG&E question. Did I miss a PG&E question?
He said his PG&E bill was $500. How are we going to get all this energy or this electricity to run this train up and down the state?
Yeah, so
I guess that's the basic question.
I mean, I think that
we need a lot of water to run electricity. So
that's not true. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why he said that. That's not true. A lot of the power that will be put to the grid, that's going to be put on the California grid. So we'll just go really big for a minute. The California grid, as you all know, by 2050, half of what's going to be put on that grid is going to be from renewable sources. So
hang on, caller.
Kind of wind and solar. The caller's worried about his PG&E bill being $500. He probably should get solar. Yeah. I can guarantee him his bill wouldn't be $500 a month if he got solar. Right. So what you're going to...
But there is enough power and electricity to go on the grid to power this thing.
There will be.
There will be.
Oh, of course, of course. To some degree, people have to understand that California is we are not. We're smart too. So if other places in the world can figure out how to run electric trains on their grid, I suspect.
If Spain, in other words, what you're saying is if Spain can do it, if Italy can do it.
Yeah, Japan, China, Saudi Arabia now is building a
if they can do it, why can't California do it? Is that kind of the
it's almost like I think some of the pricing questions are really good, but to the extent of like how can it actually be done as if we can't do it, I would remind people that it's been done many times across the globe.
And we're not reinventing the wheel.
We are not reinventing the wheel, and I think we can do it.
All right, caller, I'm going to put you on hold for a second because I will get to you. I promise. But I want to roll this videotape from Spain. Let's do the Spain video because this is the high-speed bullet train that you actually rode in Spain.
Yeah, that's the one.
And so the question I haven't asked you yet is with all these people that you went with, Mayor Lee Brand, Paul Capriolio, Paul Quiring, Richard Caglia, Leanne Eager, you all went to Spain, you rode this train. What did you learn? You were there for a week. What did you learn that you didn't already know about high-speed rail?
There's
so much.
Just
give me a list of 5 things.
Well, I'll tell you the biggest takeaway was the sophistication of the operations and the sophistication of the funding model with the P3s.
Same train you rode right there? That's in Spain.
I can't see which train they're showing right now, but yeah, I mean, they have
Many trains.
Yeah, bumper train. I don't know if it was that exact train, but it looks it's similar.
Yeah, but that countryside look familiar to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. But the biggest takeaway was,
well, the sophistication of the operations, the ingenuity of the public-private partnership, the P3. We got in much more detail about the opportunity for commerce explosion in when your city has a stop, the connectivity. So there's so many takeaways. It's hard to list them all, but those are the big ones. I mean, Fresno is going to benefit because we're going to have the first high-speed rail station built in America. It will be a monument to high-speed rail in America, and we're going to have it here in Fresno. When you talk to other cities, and I mentioned that we visited cities similar size while we were there, when you talk to a mayor about, conservative mayors, by the way. So we talked to the mayor of Malaga, who runs on the conservative ticket there.
Like
loves
Lee Brand.
Like Lee Brand. They were politically, they would be very similar in ideology, and to see this gentleman light up about what high-speed rail has done for their community is encouraging.
Yeah.
So the takeaways are really big.
Maybe get the two-shot here. We can see the train in the background on the monitor here. Is this kind of what you're looking at there? What you saw in Spain a little bit? Yeah,
sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so the thing, before I go to the caller, the thing that you learned the most is the public-private partnership, how that works, the financing part of it.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
And also the movement of commerce. How much commerce are they able to move with these trains? A lot? And it helps their economy or what?
I mean, yes. I mean, they will.
Because we know it moves people.
Well, yeah,
but moving commerce is a big deal.
Well, but we can't remove the conversations aren't isolated, right? So, the connecting people together, you connect commerce opportunities. It's astonishing to see what happens in and around a city when they have high-speed rail. For instance, in Malaga, which is again similar about this a city about the size of Fresno, to see how many tech firms came around Malaga, right? Yeah. That when before they were all located in Madrid or Barcelona or what have you,
But because of the train,
absolutely, it connects.
Now in Malaga,
absolutely, they have an entire tech section, in their country, and I'm not saying that's going to happen in Fresno or not, but it just gives you an idea of the opportunity. Now they prepared for that. They knew opportunities would be there, so they decided to make some strategic focuses because they knew they would be connected different to the rest of the country. We can do the same things here in Fresno.
Okay, so you're saying that the high-speed rail can help Fresno the way high-speed rail there, the bullet train, helped Malaga?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Certainly.
All right. You're talking about bringing business and everything else in commerce.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Caller, you're on the air with Councilmember Baines. Go ahead. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm from Clovis, and I'm up there, a retired person. I'm 68. But I've been wanting fast-speed rail, oh, my goodness, since the 70s. I lived in Spain for 3 years, and they did not have high-speed rail at that time, but they had different kinds of trains where if you wanted to go to Madrid, to any part of other places of Spain or whatever, you can get into the few hours. And I used to go on the fastest one. I don't remember the name, if it was Targo or something or other. But anyway, and it was quite fast, and I thought, oh, this is very nice. And one lady asked about how much you can see the scenery. Perhaps you don't see as much of the scenery because, like all trains, including Amtrak, sometimes you are only seeing the outside parts of the city, the outskirts. And those are never really that attractive. But I think if you just want for enjoyment on a train, go on Amtrak. I went on Amtrak to Illinois a number of years ago, and since I had ridden the trains in Spain, I told myself I wouldn't go because I really was wanting more to get to my destination in Illinois than I was for seeing the scenery, which was very good too. I mean, it wasn't all that bad. It wasn't as comfortable, perhaps in many ways, as the trains that I had ridden in Spain. Also, I think that every time we build something, there is a lot of opportunity for business. I mean, you barely build a tract of homes, and pretty soon you see a shopping center. So I see more positives in regards to business with the fast-speed rail. I think that they just do. It just happens.
Yeah.
I will be going to Spain in 2 years, and I do plan to go mostly on high-speed rail because, I mean, even to get to a place to let's say San Diego,
Yeah.
the plane ticket, it costs a fortune, at least for me. And so regardless, high-speed rail is much more efficient and less costly than what we want in transportation. Now, right now, I could probably go to San Diego in one day. I can drive. But I see myself in a few years cannot. And maybe fast-speed rail will not be finished at that time, so I might not be able to enjoy it. Yeah. But I think for the future, planning for the future, I think it is always good. And I think it's good to have a broad vision and always for the future, you know, for our present, but for the future too, because we're not going to be here, you know, later on, and we want the next generations to be able to enjoy it. So I'm very much for high-speed rail, and when I heard about this coming up, I mean, I was just for it. But like I said, I have my experience in Spain. I've also traveled in some parts of southern France, the same thing, and in Italy. And like I said, I did not get to, I wasn't there for the fast-speed rail, but I mean, even their train systems, you know.
We're running kind of short on time, so we kind of get the gist.
I understand. So anyway, I'm just very much for high-speed rail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So a positive call there in favor of high-speed rail. And what we've been seeing here as we've been listening to that great caller there is in the first part of the video was Spain. Now we're looking at the high-speed bullet train in Italy. You did not have a chance to go to Italy.
No, I didn't. I have not visited Italy's system, but I just wanted to just comment a little bit on the caller.
Go ahead.
You know, I thought that was a fantastic call about what I really do think our country, the best parts of our country. When you heard her say, we should be thinking about the future. We should be thinking about the next generations. I thought that was fantastic.
Because we're not going to be here forever. It's for the next generation.
We should always be looking to improve and better our society and leave something for our children and grandchildren. You know, the reason we have this incredible interstate highway system that we have now is because our grandparents and great grandparents thought about us, and they built that for us.
Yeah.
I
was reading somewhere that they had the same argument when they were building the Bay Bridge and the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, absolutely.
They had the same argument.
Same arguments.
Why are we building this? Why are we spending all this money? We're not going to use it. We don't have enough cars to be able to go across the bridge, and so on and so on. And there were lawsuits back and forth.
Yeah, quite
big time lawsuits.
Quite similar to how they are now. And now no one could imagine the Bay without the Bay Bridge. Right. I mean,
or the Golden Gate.
Or the Golden Gate. No one can imagine that, you know, that part of the state without having those connectors that now exist. So,
all right, let's take a quick break. 436 Me TV option 11. We'll kind of change topic a little bit. Back in just a moment.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
All right, going to change topics here just for a while. I guess October the 12th is the next council meeting, and I guess according to today's paper, and I haven't had a chance to digest it just yet, quite busy in the morning, but I did see this, and it talks about the rental housing market here in Fresno, how you implemented a program to create a database for all of the apartment units, all rental units. So I guess you guys are going to talk about it, and there is some concern about property owners saying they haven't heard little about how this plan is going to be implemented. What's the latest? What are you hearing?
You know, I don't have the latest.
Okay.
So this now is squarely in the hands of the administration and to now implement and we'll be getting an update soon. So sadly, I don't have any current information for you.
All right, and obviously the Somerset Village Apartments maybe set this whole thing off, because the Fresno Bee did a whole spread on what happened here, where 1,000 people were left without power back in 2015. He had one person die, actually, and it took a long time for these people to get back into their apartments. In general, do you agree with the plan, the database and all that, to create a database
Sure.
to monitor these people who may be slumlords from out of town, like our friend Chris Henry here, that was fined by the city, of course.
Sure. No, I fully supported.
It's a good idea.
I do. I fully supported the mayor's vision on this and plan. It was not easy to do. I think, frankly, he probably was the only guy that could have done it at the time. With his credibility within the
Lee Brand?
Yeah, Mayor Brand, he has a tremendous amount of credibility in the real estate world, in the management world, and apartment world.
Yeah.
But he also has tremendous respect amongst his colleagues on the council.
He does.
And so he was able, to bridge gaps with community members, right, who were not as trusting of the
faith and community members too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lee, in my opinion, did a great job on that, in bringing really opposing views together to find what hopefully will be a really good middle ground.
Let's put up a quick picture of Chris Henry. He was the guy, the slumlord from out of town that was fined by the city, the owner of the Somerset Apartments. And, we've often commented about this in past. Last year we covered this extensively on this program. But just another quick topic, and that is, and I've only got 2 minutes left, so we can't spend a whole lot of time on this, but John Gliata was hired as the police auditor to monitor with the police department. You're a former Fresno police officer. You know what? I've got to agree. There are a lot of shootings, and I'm not anti-police. I'm not anti-blue, but it just seems to me that there are a lot of African Americans across the country being shot by police officers. What can be done about it, do you think?
Oh, well, this topic deserves more than what we're going to give it. So
Okay.
let me just
give me the
start.
1 minute version.
Well, the 1 minute version is community-based policing. I mean, and without going into
That's part of the answer. Then,
that is a major part of the answer. Sure. I mean, there's a part of that
to create trust within the community.
Yeah, you've got to have that.
And is it a good idea what Lee Brand did to hire Gliata
Sure.
as the auditor?
Sure. One of the things you and I talked about offline for a moment was the evolution of law enforcement.
Yeah.
And that always happens. I was a police officer for a little over a decade, and just in my time there, the profession evolved significantly. So now we're undergoing another evolution, and I totally support the idea of having the police auditor. It builds bridges of trust with the community, and we've got to do that. So again, the topic deserves a lot more time, but at a very high level, those are my reactions I can give you.
But today I wanted to see high-speed rail because you just came back from Spain. At some point, you can come back and talk a little bit about that, because you have the viewpoint from both angles. You're a former police officer, and now you're a civilian, but you kind of see both sides of it, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do uniquely see both sides.
Yeah, and that's a unique point of view, and that's why we'll have you back and talk about that
Happy
at
to come
some
back.
point. Oliver Baines, good to see you.
Good seeing you, John.
Have a good weekend.
You do the same.
All right. Come back soon.
Will do.
All right. The Honorable Oliver Baines, District Number 3 Council Member. And you can call in at 436-MeTV option 11 and leave a message if you want. Monday, it's going to be Dennis Hart. We'll talk about Donald Trump versus the world, my friends. See you Monday. Have a great weekend.